All right, welcome to another edition of the Bears Den. I am Saul Rodriguez, joined as always by my co-host Joe Tanksley, as well as our lead Bears reporter Sean Sierra. We are back from a little hiatus, but you know what? There wasn't a lot much going on up until the last few weeks now with training camp, and you got extensions and all that, and of course we'll get to recapping the Hard Knocks episode and getting into all that. But first, want to ask you guys how you guys are doing. How are you doing, Sean? How's everything been for you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Things are good, man. I appreciate it. I took some time off as well. So what I did, one of the things I did was instead of 3 days a week with Sean and I was only going 1 day a week on Wednesday, just to give me more time to get some other stuff done, and because there really wasn't anything to talk about as far as sports goes. Cubs suck, Sox suck, Sky suck. There's really nothing else to talk about. So I decided to go down on 1 day, up on some stuff, and now we're ready. Now the training camp is in it's full go. I'm fired up, baby. I am fired the freak up.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? It's like all those memes about like the Bears, like only they could save Chicago, dude. Like no, Chicago is so bad right now and everything. Like only one man stands in the way of everything. It's like you could come.
Oh, so you hit the mute button, Papa. There you go.
Joe, my microphone disconnected. Joe, how's everything for you, man?
Everything's going pretty well. I've been kind of taking it easy this summer. I had to teach summer school for a little bit for about 5 weeks, so that's done. I'm a dog dad now. We got a 9-week-old pit bull puppy named Creed. My daughter fought like hell for the dog, and now the dog is here, and she's starting to realize it's way too much work. We tried to tell her, but the dog is here. And he's been a lot of fun so far. He's not too bad. He's just really active. But I'm excited for football too. The Hall of Fame game ended kind of short. Rippon and Colin, was it Colin Johnson or Colin Jones?
Colin Johnson. Yeah.
Colin Johnson. Yeah. They were fun to watch. During the Hall of Fame game, and they kind of got me a little bit excited. I got a brand new TV too, 70-inch Samsung, ready for football season, just in time.
70-inch, okay.
Hell yeah. Something like okay, Joe. All right, that's what I'm talking about. I know, and you said, and with the dog, yeah, that's how it is. Because I think all my life I've been like, man, I think I'm gonna get a dog, and I'm like. But then I look at other people with dogs and their puppies, and I've helped my friends like train their dogs, and I'm like, it is a lot more work than you expect it to be, especially at the start. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know how much I really want a dog, but you know what? Yeah, I will say with kids though, it shows them responsibility at an early age. So I think it'll be a good thing. It'll be positive. So
yeah, definitely.
Bro, I know too many people are like, you know what? I can't do that. I gotta go home. I gotta leave now. I gotta go home and let my dog out. I'm like, put some newspaper down. Let him pee on the thing. What are you talking about? No, I gotta take him out. What do you mean you gotta take him out? It's a dog. Don't you got like a litter box or something like for cats? I'm like, a dog litter box or paper. Like you have to go home now. Like, yeah, we gotta go home. Like, you guys are out of control, man.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that I would not. That makes me not want to have a dog too. Is just like you can't. Sometimes people can't go on vacation because like, I can't leave my dog 3 days alone and stuff. And I'm like, man. It's like it's.
Oh, you got to find a kennel, and that's a nice little expense to keep him at a kennel. Then he starts crying, and the woman doesn't want to leave him.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a whole thing. It's a whole.
Yeah,
but
just kind of forecasted my future.
Yeah, we're just looking out for you, Joe. It's like the things you got to look forward to. But you know what? Still, it's part of your family now officially. As a little Creed. So it's looking forward to see some pics of that dog. All right, Joe. So, but
we got some people in the chat, man. Bruhaha 7, what's up, Papa? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Armando Emeterio Lara the third, my man, and his dad, my buddy Armando Emeterio Lara Jr.
Yes.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. And Junior has a couple dogs, Wrigley and Coco. So
Wrigley and Coco.
He's one of those people. He's a Northsider.
I was about to say, I was like, Sean, they got great names. I know you agree with that, right, Wrigley?
Yeah. Not unless the dog smells like piss.
Jesus Oh man, but hey, the one thing we can agree on though is that Bears football is officially back. With the, like I said, we had the training camp start up, and of course the Hall of Fame game happened. But the one, like I said, the one thing I wanted to start off with is talk about DJ Moore's contract extension. He of course had 2 years left on his deal, but now they add on a 4-year an extra 4 years with $110 million strapped to that. Yeah, I mean it's a great thing for the Bears, a great thing for DJ Moore. And like I said, we'll get into the episode, but they even talked about it in the episode how it's it's just a great deal for everyone. I know Kevin Warren said that. But how do you guys feel about this? Because not only does it lock up one of the best wide receivers in the league, but I think it also helps in the sense of maybe there's an Allen extension in the future, or another offensive player gets extended to it in the longer deal. But either way, the Bears core is in general locked in for 3 to 4 years, as they talked about during the Hall of Fame game. But Joe, what did you think about this extension and what it means to the rest of the team?
Really, it was a great job by both sides. DJ Moore's camp and the Bears camp. I think, with Caleb Williams being here, the window is now. You kind of look at what the Seahawks were able to do during Russell Wilson's rookie contract. I think the Bears are kind of trying to follow that model a little bit in the same vein. When you have a QB, that can perform at a high level on the rookie deal, that gives you money to spend on other things. And I think DJ Moore is a perfect candidate to build with. He's still young enough, 26 years old, 25, 26 years old. And so he's, really right now in the prime of his career. So you're not really paying a guy that's, in the downswing. You're paying a guy that's, who's gotten better and better since he's been in the league. And so I think that trajectory is going to continue. And so, like I said, he fits in, with Caleb Williams and what the Bears are trying to do. This is the window. The next 4 years or so is the window when the Bears are really going to be trying really hard to get to the playoffs, win the division, and ultimately get to the Super Bowl and win that. And so, you kind of want to get those things done, before that, that big quarterback money really hits.
Yeah, because that's one of those things that with football is like you pay one person, but now you look ahead to the next person you got to pay, and when that comes up, the debt, all that stuff, and we're seeing a lot of that stuff now with the quarterbacks and like Trevor Lawrence getting his deal, and all these other quarterbacks. I mean Jordan Love is getting paid. It's a whole ordeal with all these guys. But
I also forgot to mention,
sure.
And what this, signing this extension a little bit early, DJ Moore did leave a few dollars on the table in doing that. So this kind of sets a precedent. Yeah. That he wants to be here, and now you even hear rumbles about Keenan Allen talking about this is a place he wants to stay. So it's kind of setting a precedent that Chicago is the place to be, and a place that players want to come and play, and it wasn't like that before. It's a little bit different now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing that I think spoke very highly of of DJ Moore and his strategy there is there's a lot of players that do that. And it should, yeah, you're right. It does show that they want to stay there. It does show that they want to succeed there. They want the team to succeed. And it does help the Bears in a lot of ways. But Sean, what do you think about the extension and kind of what not only does it mean to the Bears, but even as Joe mentioned, he left some money on the table. It kind of sets a precedent, as he said, to what other contracts might be coming for the Bears.
Well, that's one of the things he said. He didn't want to be he didn't need to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL. And it really just goes to show that's the kind of guy DJ Moore is. I mean, what are you going to do with 150 million that you can't do with 110 million? You know what I mean? Like at some point, and I understand about respect, but he doesn't feel that. He wants to win. All right. And it's obvious he wants to win. It's not about that. He got his money. All right, trust me. I don't think him and his family are going to be in the WIC line anytime soon. All right, so 110 million with 82.6 guaranteed is a beautiful thing. So yeah, for him, I don't know how many wide receivers are like him, because many guys would want to be. I want to set the market. I want to reset the market. I want to reset the market. And I've always thought this as well. Like, hey, why? If you, I'm not saying he only take 85 million. All right. That's a whole other thing. Don't do it like what Jalen Brunson did. All right. That's all right. Left 113 million on the table. That's crazy. All right. But But when you're at 110 million, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, do you need 130? Do you need 120? You know what I mean? When you know that money can be used elsewhere, and when people say I'm all, get their money. I am for players getting their money, but man, he realizes at some point it comes about. You want to be the best, but you also want to win. You know what I mean? You also want to win, and this goes to show you how much he wants to win. You know, that to leaving some of that money on the table. And again, he's not going to be poor. He's not going to be able to, downgrade from his Mercedes, okay, and turn into. No, I just think it just goes to show what type of player he is, what type of person he is, and he wants to win. With he's mentioned Keenan Allen a couple times. Remember, he said, he goes, I asked Keenan. Right? He's excited about these three receivers, stud receivers, and God knows whoever the hell else is going to step up because of the competition in that room. Okay, you got three stud receivers, and then you saw Colin Johnson make a name for himself. Tyler Scott, who's a rookie now, who's going to be the second year. Now he's going to be look what he has to look up to and aspire to and kind of live up to in that room. So I love it. I think when I worked DJ's camp last year, his first year here, and dude, he's so real and normal, he seems fake. Like he's just like the nicest person in the world. The nicest person. He seems like kind of a shy, playful kind of guy. This stuff you see in interviews, that's him. That's him. When we talk to him, I talk to him, with the coaches and everything. He's just literally that nice and that cool, that down to earth of a person. And 110 million, he's probably like, I'm good. 82 mil up front. Mom, we get a new house. We get a new house.
No, yeah, that's the crazy part too is that that with having the most guaranteed money now for wide receiver, and you're talking about the type of money he left on the table and all that. They were asking. I remember they asked him in one of the press conferences about some of the contract deals that were out there. You had Justin Jefferson with 140 mil. And all that, but he did stress, the fact that he doesn't need to be that guy that gets it paid that much money, as you say, Sean. And it says a lot about him. And I think, and that's the one thing too, right? And when it comes to certain athletes, star athletes, is that you want the money, sure, right? I understand that, but then how much do you want to win, and how much do you wanting the money hinder the fact that the team you're on? Because you can go to a team and ask for 140, but then how much, does that hurt the team not being able to spend on other parts? And then eventually you're just the only guy there and the team's losing. So that's the one thing I think some players maybe need to think about more when it comes to that, because it does help out, what you want to win, because, you get money and you win. I think as you mentioned, Sean, like 30 mil is like, you're still at 100 plus mil, if you're a guy like Justin Jefferson, like, I don't, and you're still going to be more money in endorsements and all that. So it's a whole different thing. And I'm just glad. Go ahead, Joe.
So you mentioned something good. You talked about the guaranteed money, because now I'm seeing the trend. Jalen Johnson got his deal, #1 guaranteed money for a corner. Now DJ Moore gets his deal, #1 guaranteed money for a wide receiver. So the Bears and Ryan Poles are kind of making a name for themselves, being a destination for players to come and want to play.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And especially with the caliber of players they have now, it does make it more exciting. I think, like you said, they're and not only that, but you were also seeing just the change of culture in the last few months of like, the not only the fans from the fan perspective, but also just from the media too. It's like, you want to see it, and you want to see it, flourish more and add more players to it and more to the culture. So glad to see that. But also, the one thing. Go ahead.
What it does is it locks up all these guys, minus Keenan Allen, of course, until if they get something done with him. It lock up the core for the next 4 years minimum. Minimum. I mean, we're talking. Obviously, DJ's going to be here for 6. Rome's going to be here for 5 with his extension. All right, you know what I mean. Caleb's obviously here for 5. Cole Kmet signed a deal last year. You signed. DeAndre Swift's going to be here for 4 years. You also have Gerald Everett's going to be here. Like your skill players are going to be here. So if God forbid you bring Allen back on a 2-year deal, I mean, Lord have mercy. Now you got these guys for minimum 3 years for this offense, right around the time where you anticipate them to be serious Super Bowl contenders. These guys are going to be here. And so what Ryan Pace has done is he's got all the skill guys, locked in. And I love it, because now guess what? everyone's talking about with the cadence and his inability, defense getting the best of him, and all these other things. And we're not going to worry about that next year. We're not going to worry about that the year after. We're not going to have to worry about the year after that. Right? This is the only time. It's not going to be a situation where, like, okay, where they're bringing another wide receiver, they're bringing no. His skill people are here. His skill people are here, and the continuity. I mean, how long did Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers beat the hell out of us? Twice a freaking year. You know what I mean? Why? Because he was there for X amount of years. Devontae Adams is there for X amount of years. You know what I mean? So, continuity, Ryan Poles, hats off, getting those stud players signing a contract for at least 4 years, at least.
Yeah, and I think that definitely puts the foundation down, and is one of the main reasons you tell players, hey, look, we got this for a while, so if you want to come join us, might as well give us 4 to 5 years of your career and look what we can do with these players. So, and speaking of extensions, one more thing I want to ask you guys too about the last week or so, Jalen Johnson was left off of the top 100 NFL players. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Should he have been on it? What do you think about his thoughts as well on it? Because I saw a clip going viral yesterday that some fans asked him, hey, they snubbed you on the top 100, and he was like, F him. And so it was interesting to hear his thoughts. But Joe, what did you think about him being left off of the top 100 there?
You know what? I think the NFL, whoever made that list, give the Chicago Bears and Jalen Johnson, the fans, a favor, because this is a man who plays well with a chip on his shoulder. He plays well when he has something to prove. And Jalen Johnson with something to prove is going to be a different kind of animal. You know what I'm saying? He's got his money. So that's not really the motivation now. Now it's the respect. And so I think, he's going to be playing for that respect this year. I think Jalen Johnson is a guy who takes pride in his craft and his, what he's been able to do. Keenan Allen came out in the press conference and said he hasn't been able to get a catch on him. All training camp, I think last practice he was able to.
So the next day he beat him.
Yeah, the next day he got him. You know what I'm saying? But, this is the count, Jalen Johnson is definitely a top 100 player. And I think that, it definitely was a snub, but as far as, him being, playing with a chip on his shoulder, that's a good thing for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's going to only make him, angrier and set up. But yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
The list was created by players.
Yeah.
So it wasn't media. He can't snap at the media. These are his peers. These are the people that he plays with. People who suit up, not an old 75-year-old white guy making a decision, all right, or a woman making a decision, someone who hasn't played football. Okay, no, it's not peers. These are the guys in the league, all players. And he got his money. So he didn't seem. If you thought that there was a reason, and there's a tendency for a lot of times when you get that big bag, you tend to exhale like, I got it. Generational wealth is here. And if you left off that, when you're second team All Pro, you're this second team. They name you the second best, probably the third best corner in the NFL, and you don't make the top 100. Yeah, I think it was the best thing that happened to him. That's going to make him even more focused and more determined. I think he wants to be one of the best corner. He already talked about it earlier. He said, there's work to do. He goes, I was second team All Pro. He goes, I don't want to be second team. He goes, I want to be first team. And just that enough to me was exciting. I was like, okay, cool. He's not going to sit back and rest on his laurels. But then when he got snubbed, the fact that he didn't make first team and then he got snubbed, not the top 100 players he couldn't make the list. Yeah. Hey, you know what? As athletes, we're always looking for motivation. Okay. And he got 2 big doses of motivation, and I love it. I hope to see him. I want to see that swag. I want to see that confidence. That dog. I really want to see that with him, because you said, Joe, he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be the best, and him being snubbed is really gonna motivate him to the umpteenth level. And I you know what? I can't wait to see him play all year.
Yeah, and he's the perfect player for that type of stuff, right? To have this situation happen, because he gets angry and it plays angry, and make him even better. And something else too that I noticed, that the Madden ratings came out, and they showed the Keenan Allen is the number 1 rated Bear at 90 overall. Then is DJ Moore at 89, and then he's tied with Jalen Johnson. Like, I think, to be honest, you could have argued that Jalen Johnson was a 90, even a 91, but that's just me. But you know what? That's one of those things too. I think you kind of with the players too, with making those lists. It shows you how even the lists get, when it's the media, it also gets criticized for this player left off or whatever. It just shows you how some of the players think as well, like, because you have Patrick Mahomes at number 3 right on that list, and that's a little strange too, because I don't think Tyreek Hill is the number 1 player in the league, even though he is one of the best, most exciting players we've seen in a lot, in this generation. But I just don't think that. But that's I feel like we can go on for days on that. But I did want to get into the Hard Knocks episode, because that's one of the main storylines in this past week, and what people are going to be talking about for a straight month here. I thought it was a great introduction to the Chicago Bears, a great introduction to the city of Chicago, seeing all the stuff they talked about. I mean, they showed deep dish pizza. They showed Wrigley Field. I know Sean was excited about that part of the episode. But no, what did you guys think off the top? We'll get into certain things of each of the episode. But Sean, what did you think about the episode overall? And how it kind of introduced this new Bears culture?
It was cool. I thought it was cool. One of the things I didn't like, and I don't know if they're doing this, if they asked to do this, or if the Bears are doing this, I didn't see Caleb talking to Shane Waldron enough. All right. I saw him talking to Matt Eberflus a lot. He didn't got to deal with Matt Eberflus. I know Matt Eberflus is defensive coordinator, but he's also head coach. Wants to see. I need to see him talking to Shane Waldron every single time. I don't need to see him talking to Matt Eberflus. All right, Matt Eberflus, you're great. You're not the guy in charge of developing him. I mean, yes, it's under your watch, but the guy in charge of developing him is Shane Waldron. And I want to see more Shane Waldron, Caleb Williams conversation. I want to see Shane Waldron go over and talk to him after a play, a good play or a bad play. Say, hey, what'd you see? I want to see more of that. I don't need to see Coach Eberflus. And I know he's got the new look. He looks like a Russian hitman or anything with his new beard and everything. Looking smooth as everything. Just put him in a nice little tuxedo and he's perfect. But I need to see Caleb talk to Shane, and that's what I want to see, because you know what I've said. The best acquisition this offseason was Shane Waldron, and I need to see that relationship develop. I don't need to see him talking to Coach Eberflus. Coach Eberflus is not developing him. All right, Waldron is. Give me more of that. But other than that, man, I loved it. I love the couple. They touched a couple things with Jonathan. Simone Biles' husband, Mr. Biles, can't remember his name.
Owens.
Owen.
Yeah.
Owen. All right. And a couple other players. I thought it was cool. I thought they touched a lot of different things like that. The American Eagle, he got hurt, but unfortunately, it was a cool. And I don't know, they may have done it before, because I never watched Hard Knocks. It wasn't the Bears. I didn't give a damn about it. And but now it's the Bears. And it was pretty cool. And this is kind of like what some players we don't really want. Like, this is technically that's hazing, you know what I mean? But then everyone has a big deal about it. But you had to sing, and you had to you get up there and you kind of embarrass yourself to show you're one of the guys. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has to do it. All right. And I thought that was cool, because I've been in plenty of in high school and in college, and when I played pro and my semi-pro teams as well. We, new guys got to do this, new guys got to do that. And I thought that was pretty cool. All right. And, but then also football players we don't really need people seeing what we do, because it's our fraternity. But overall, it was pretty good. I just want to see, more talk about the stadium next episode and stuff like that, because all this is encompassing the Chicago Bears football. This is not football related stuff on the field stuff. It's actually football in the future. So, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Set up a lot. It wasn't super exciting, but what it did, you talked about foundation a few minutes ago, it laid the foundation for where they can go in future episodes. And I'm excited about it. I even ordered, I didn't have HBO Max, and I ordered it Monday.
There you go. Yeah. From I've watched, I think, every Hard Knocks since, I don't know, maybe, I think the first one I might have seen was maybe one in the 2010s with the Jets, because I know I've seen the Jets twice already on that thing. But it's cool. Like, I think from a fan perspective, like, it's nice to see certain things from behind the scenes that you don't normally get to see. I mean, we just saw the Giants one cause a lot of controversy because of how much they showed, and I wonder how much that affected this new Bears season, because I think that every Hard Knocks episode, or every Hard Knocks season, you maybe saw something you never seen before, this and that, and it kind of this Giants front office, with how much they showed that a lot of people were talking about if it's going to be the last time they do an off-season Hard Knocks, even though it was the first time they do it, because they showed a lot of strategy and they talked a lot about Saquon Barkley and all that. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things where like the production crew is probably balancing how much they can and can't show. And I feel like that's like a whole, like, I wouldn't want to do it like that. That seems like a lot to be like, oh, let's leave that in there. Let's leave that. So I wonder how much this not putting the strategy in there leaves the conversation out from Shane Waldron and Caleb. Cause I'm right with you, Sean. I do want to hear, I do want to see more of like the talking and this and that, but they do have to blur out a lot of the stuff that they have on the board and all this stuff. So that's just how it is. But I do hope to see more of conversation with those guys, because it's obviously a key part of it. But they always do show the dancing and like the little initiation type of stuff, and I think it's hilarious, especially with the dancing and singing. They always, I feel like every team now has like the same one. Like, you always got to sing and dance. It's funny, but I think the Eagle, Benedict, he added a little bit more by
Canadian
showing some skin. He showed some skin. But Joe, what are your first thoughts on the episode, and what do you think about it, man?
You know what? I tried to go in with an open mind, and I didn't want to get too deep into it. I do think that the Hard Knocks, the episode did lay a good foundation, like Sean said, into showing the culture of the Bears and how much chemistry that this team really has, and how much fun they have. I do think that Matt Eberflus is definitely benefiting for how much he's been seen on in the episode, and it kind of looks like he has a little, he's going up a little bit, and then you can kind of sense that in his demeanor as well, and when he addresses the media, he got the new hairstyle, the facial hair. He's carrying himself a little bit different. Like, this is a guy who knows that he has his team, who's looks like he's ready to take the next level, and hopefully he does, because the Bears really need him to. To what you said, Sean. He's definitely not the guy who's charged with developing Caleb Williams, but I do think those two guys, definitely Caleb Williams and Matt Eberflus, seeing them so much is definitely probably in the vein of where the rest of the episodes are kind of focused on. I think those instances of Caleb is coming. I think it's kind of was for the first episode. I don't think they wanted kind of draw it out a little bit and kind of bring that slowly, because that's pretty much what the people and the fans want to see. They want to see what Caleb's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think, it was kind of like a teaser for the first episode, not to show too much of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like, at the end of the day, it's a peak. It's just a peek at what they do, and it's like, hopefully we're able to see a lot more, but it's also just kind of touches on, especially the training camp ones, because they have, like I said, they introduced the front office one, the off-season one, that showed a lot, but then they have an in-season one now too, and they're going to have an in-season one with AFC North, AFC, AFC North, but with the Steelers, it's the Steelers, Chiefs, and then they want a playoff team in there, so they got all 4 teams in there. So I think that's the cool part, and they're going to show a lot. So we're going to be able to see the Steelers little novela they have going on with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson on who's exactly going to start. So I'm excited for that, to see how that unfolds. But in one part of the episode that I want to ask you guys too is what did you guys think about Flus bringing in Nick Saban and the way they talked and what Saban was talking about? We do have a clip of it here that Sean has here. Let's see. I got it right here.
Here's my theory on why NFL quarterbacks fail at such a dramatic rate. To me, expectations are a killer. This kid's got so much media, so much hype, so much expectation on doing well. And he has to develop so quickly to meet the expectations that everybody has for him, it's almost impossible. The expectations are a killer, but yet, to use your word, development is the key for him. You know, like Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions when he was a rookie. It's the most in the history of all.
Manning looks to throw, tipped and intercepted.
It's unbelievable.
Put the nail on it.
But it didn't affect him. It's like the scoreboard. The scoreboard don't mean anything.
Yeah, that I think that was pretty cool because you get a perspective from one of the best coaches, one of the best football coaches in the history of the game, and you really get to hear him talking about the pressures and what all that with Caleb. But what did you guys think about that, and just kind of what he said, especially when comparing him to a guy like Peyton Manning and what the type of experience he's gonna have to go through in certain adversity? What did you think about that, Sean?
Well, it's a little different than what Peyton Manning had to go through. All right, he didn't have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, and Gerald Everett to throw to. All right, or hand the ball off to. So it's a lot different for him. It's a lot different. But the one thing he said, I also saw, the stick. Basically, don't worry. You can't really. Mike Singletary said it, but don't believe the hype. All right, you throw if you throw 2 touchdown passes in his first game. All right, people want to put him in Canton. If he throws 2 picks, everybody wants to get rid of him and bury him underneath the hospital. You know what I mean? Under the cemetery. Like, come on, guys, it's not that serious. It's development. And the one thing that people have to understand is patience. All right. More importantly, the hell with us or the fans. All right, he's got to understand the patience. He's got to understand. Like, look, yes, I'm a good player. Doesn't mean you're going to come in and tear up the league. It doesn't mean that. All right, you might have struggles, okay? But he's got to be patient enough to understand this is part of the journey. All right, and it's very difficult for people who've been successful at every stop in their life to be patient because they want instant gratification, especially this younger generation. But when you develop, all right, and development is not linear, so it's not going to see it every week. But he's got to understand if it goes slowly that he cannot stray from the process. He cannot get frustrated. He cannot want to pull his hair out because, he threw 2 interceptions or, they lost by such and such. Or he has to understand that this is year 1. All right, you're not taking us to the Super Bowl this year, contrary to what some fans are saying. Yeah. Taking us to the Super Bowl this year. Okay, so build on it, develop. And I hope Shane Waldron has had that conversation with him as well, saying if this thing goes sideways quick, I need you to come here every Monday after the game, get ready to work, get right back into the process, because that's what you have to fall in love with, the process. Don't worry about the results. The results will take care of themselves. All right. It may not start off the way you want, but you keep grinding, you keep putting yourself and falling in love with the process. That you got to come in every week, Monday video. You got to do film off Tuesday, practice Wednesday, boom, every week. Continue to put in that work, and it'll change. And for some reason, I think it's gonna happen. Like it'll snap at one point. If it slows down, we'll see it. If it starts off bad, I mean, it might not start off bad. It might start off good. We don't know. But regardless, he has to be told you've been successful at every stop in your career. Okay. I anticipate you being successful here. If it doesn't start off this way, here's the attitude I need you to come in with every week. And if he can do that, man, if he can do that, the success will come quicker because he's not putting what that's going to do. That's not going to add pressure. That he's not adding pressure to himself. He's like, this is part of the process. I get it. It's cool. Next week's another game. Let's do it. It's another set of circumstances. So hopefully he gets it. And hopefully that conversation's been had and it's reinforced, especially if it doesn't start off good.
Yeah, and I think, and what doesn't help that whole thing too, Sean, is you got, all these expectations like they talk about is just, people talking and saying certain things. And I mean, you got like Nick Wright talking about the Bears going to the Super Bowl. And it's like, I get it. It's for clicks. I get it. You're trying to get attention. But at the same time, it doesn't help the situation because you get certain fans that hear that and believe every second of it. And so it's one of those things where it's all encompassing, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. But Joe, what did you think about that situation and kind of what the wise words of Nick Saban?
Well, here's the thing. I think this was very important. I think, having this a part of the Hard Knocks episode and having Nick Saban say what he did and, saying that, that this is going to take some time. Development takes time. You know, Matt Eberflus, Coach Matt Eberflus, if he gets up on the podium and says that, nobody's going to believe him. But if you watch Hard Knocks and you hear Nick Saban telling him that, now the fans can kind of say, oh, Nick Saban? Oh, okay. We trust Nick Saban. We know who Nick Saban is. Nick Saban is the greatest. He's a GOAT.
Seven-time national champion. Maybe we'll believe him.
Right. So, if Nick Saban and everybody's watching Hard Knocks, and Nick Saban is telling Matt Eberflus this, so that the next time Matt Eberflus gets up on the podium and says this, we have to believe him. And then it's kind of helps lower the expectation for fans and kind of takes some of that pressure off the team and Caleb Williams.
Exactly. And I think it's one of the things one of the reasons why they probably brought him in, because look, experience tells a huge story. And I think the way he, pointed it out and said certain things that are, that he might expect, or telling Eberflus what to do, it helps out. I mean, even, he said, he stands behind the quarterback. They show Eberflus standing, behind Caleb Williams, and also the way he's talking to him and kind of, showing him what went wrong and all that was pretty interesting. But another thing too that I wanted to ask you guys about was, what did you guys think about the way they introduced Caleb as well? They had the Bulls intro, they had they had the music, and and they had people talking about him in the background, the quotes and all that stuff. What do you think about that intro, Sean? How they kind of brought in the number one pick?
I like the Bulls thing. It just it took me back to a certain time. I was in college, 91, 92, 93. Ray Clay was the voice of the Chicago Bulls, and you knew what it meant. You knew you're getting your ass whooped by the Bulls. All right, it's basically what it meant. And you know what I mean. And it was when Chicago fans hear that, it takes us back to that point. It probably gave most people goosebumps, and I thought it was pretty cool. I think what they said was grandiose, but I also thought it was still realistic. Because he could be the biggest thing since Michael Jordan. I mean, if this guy takes the Bears to one Super Bowl win, let's not even mention multiple, all right, like Patrick Mahomes. Let's not even mention that. But if he takes them to one Super Bowl win, he'll be right. He'll be behind Jordan as the second most popular athlete in the history of Chicago, and we've had some great ones, right? The Blackhawks just had a Stanley Cup run, won 3 cups. Should have been 4. Won't talk about Game 7 in Western Conference Finals, right? But football is what is the heart of this city, and for him to do that, he'll immediately jump to the number 2. It's Michael. You know what, Michael and Walter. Let me put those two guys together. I think it was Walter. I shouldn't say Walter. I think those two are probably in a stratosphere of their own, and then it's everybody else. And he'll jump to the top of the everybody else category if he wins one, not even multiple, just one Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too where it just reminds you when the Bears. I mean, the Bears aren't even technically good yet, right? They haven't even gotten to that level, and they're being talked about this way, and the way that they're being talked about in general. It shows you how much this city is a Bears town. Like when I personally can't really, because I mean I've only seen the Super Bowl run from 06 with Devin Hester and all them, Rex Grossman. I've seen when they lost in the NFC Championship against Aaron Rodgers 2011. So, but I really haven't seen the Bears go on a successful run for a long time in my lifetime. So to see this happen and the way it's happening and the way people are talking about it, it just goes to show that it is a Bears town through and through. Like there's nothing that touches it. And I think it's an all unifier, like with the way, that we have 2 teams in a lot of sports and all that stuff and multiple teams in general, but it's cool to see. But Joe, what did you think about the introduction of Caleb Williams on the show?
You know what? I think, like Sean said, when you hear that music, it's hands down the best introduction of any sports team, ever. You know what I'm saying? And when you hear that, you do get that feeling, of winning, and I think, that's kind of what Caleb Williams, signifies, is a symbol of, is the winning and the change of culture for the Chicago Bears. I think, like you said, Saul, is that the Chicago Bears is the one thing in this city that everybody gets behind. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got basketball fans, you got hockey fans, you know, you got Sox fans, you got Cubs fans,
Cub fans.
right? But everybody is a Bears fan. Everybody is a Bears fan, and so I think we have a lot to be hopeful about. You know, in the way that this thing is being built. We watched it get ripped down to the studs, and we watched Ryan Poles, and his team, build it back up brick by brick, and you know, we're excited about it, and because we're here, we're the fans, that's who we are, we're homers, you know what I'm saying. But then everybody across the country is like, yo, the Bears got something cooking here, so that kind of just raises it a little bit more. And so I think the theme music from the Chicago Bulls, was appropriate.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see, and kind of it kind of lets people into Chicago. If for us, we've seen it a bunch of times, and we've seen it, but it's like if you've never seen it before, or if you don't see it that often, if you're somebody from like Pennsylvania or something, I think it hits you differently. So it's cool to see. But also with that episode, what did you guys think about the Hall of Fame game and just in general your thoughts on the Hall of Fame game, but the way it was depicted on the show and showing Colin Johnson and Brent Rippon and all that? How do you guys feel about the Hall of Fame game as a whole? We'll start with you, Sean. Go ahead.
I didn't get too excited. It's all backups. But I did like the one thing that I did like was Colin Johnson and Brent Rippon took advantage of the excess snaps that they're going to get. All right, you took advantage of it, and you know what? You don't get 4 games. All right, it's down to 3 now. We are fortunate to get 4. All right, our starters didn't play. All right, you had a lot more reps, and man, when you took advantage of it. There's nothing more, nothing less. All you can ask in life is an opportunity, and they got it. All right, Rippon he looked nasty. He was just he sat back there, chill. I mean, no happy feet whatsoever. He's looking, he's reading, he's just. I mean, granted, he's been in the league for a little bit, and that helps. But I really don't give a damn. He looked calm, cool, collected. Found the opener, let the receiver do his thing. Looked off the safety, hits him. 2 touchdowns. I just thought it was he ran that offense well. And I think those two him and Bajan will be the backups. I just love the way he was able to dissect, and he's familiar with the system, so that helps a lot. But still, I don't care. I liked his moxie. I liked the fact that just his calm presence. I would have liked a little more pressure from the defense. I was looking for somebody to step up a little bit on the D line. I was looking for somebody for us to go, oh, he could be an interesting part of the rotation, and I didn't get that from anybody, and I was a little disappointed in that. I know Booker. I want to see Booker. You're going up against guys that you're equally yoked with, so to speak. All right, these are 30 men. Guys who are going to be, football coaches in the next month. You know what I mean? That type of thing. I would have liked to have seen Booker, come through and really open our eyes. Like, oh snap! Look at this guy. We're good. And so there was really no one that stood out except Rippon and Johnson. But other than that, it was good. I mean, it was what I expected it to be. Just a whole bunch of guys fighting for spots and clawing and keeping their NFL dream alive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I was, watching it with my siblings, and they don't watch football. They don't watch sports as much as I did. And I was telling me, like, hey, these games, while irrelevant to the diehard fan in the sense of like they're just backups, whatever, to the players, to a lot of the players, like a Brent Rippon, like those guys, this is like their livelihood. This, they're playing for a job, and but I'm right with you, Sean. I think he's definitely going to be making the team as a backup. He just looked how smooth he looked, and I think that's the type of backup you want, because as much as the fans like Tyson Bagent and and he's a great guy, whatever, like he's just not as seasoned as a guy like Rippon. And if like your quarterback goes down, it's to see a guy like Bagent in there, it could be a problem. But I do like the way that this quarterback room is shaping out, because as much as I say he's young and unseasoned, I think he still has a potential to be a very important key to this team. So,
but you still got 3 quarterbacks too, though. Now this year,
yeah.
3, which is good.
Yeah,
and I like that, because I think Bajan will learn from Rippon. All right, yep. I think he will, and I think it's just great for that room.
Yeah. Joe, what did you think about the Hall of Fame game as a whole, man?
You know what? Like Sean, I thought Ripon and Colin Johnson, they did their thing, and one of the things that that stuck out to me was the command that Ripon had over the offense, and he was very decisive, and he was able to make every throw. Um, and I kind of felt like in this game, I kind of felt like Ripon would probably be a better backup than Bajan for this offense because of how confident he looked running it, and how decisive he was. And granted, these are all the scrubs playing, but he made the best of his opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson Bagent will have his opportunity coming up on Saturday against Buffalo. To see how well he plays. But right now, I would kind of, given what I seen from Bagent last year and what I seen from Ripon this year, and the zip, the decisiveness that he throws the ball with, I kind of put him ahead of Bagent right now. That's just my personal feeling.
Yeah.
Colin Johnson, wonderful story. Being able to come back from injury and, to have a good, the only football game and, on TV at that point on a Thursday night, everybody's watching. Being able to put on a performance like that, stack some corners, and get into the end zone. I think, he did well to show his capability, and he can still play. Yeah, also he can tackle. So
yep.
He was able to make some tackles on special teams as well. And so he's definitely a guy that you could see making the roster. Being able to play special teams tackle, and then in the pinch, you need somebody to go downfield and get a jump ball in a late game situation. He might be able to do that for you. So I really like that. I was disappointed, in the defense. Even though that they're backups, I was hoping, that somebody would step up a little bit, but kind of worrisome, about the depth of the defense right now, from watching that game, because nobody stood out on the defensive side of the ball for me. But we got Buffalo Saturday, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it's the one thing. The last thing I wanted to ask you guys about is looking ahead now to the next week, and what we'll see on the next episode of Hard Knocks is going to be that game with the Bills, and the Bills announced that they're going to go with the starters. Josh Allen will play, and the Bears announced today, as you mentioned, that Eberflus said that Caleb Williams will make his debut. What do you guys expect to see in that game, and expect to see? In general, not from Caleb, but from anyone else that you might want to see kind of, make a little bit of an impression, because as you mentioned, Joe, there are still spots to win when it comes to the depth chart. Even if it's not a starting role or whatever, it's, there's a lot of spots that still need to be filled. But Sean, what do you expect to see in this upcoming preseason game against the Bills?
I anticipate, and I hope I see, but I anticipate seeing a lot of Caleb in the short game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Give me slants, give me hitches, give me those stupid ass wide receiver screens that we can't say, that we hate. But you know what? I don't need his uniform dirty. All right. There are plenty of ways to mitigate him getting hit. All right. And that short game, that 5 and out, those crossing, those short, not even intermediate, those short passes. I want those down. See him turn around, hand the ball up. What I really want to see, I want to see that offensive line move people. I want to see that offensive line move people. All right. And that's going to be a good, a big determinant of how this goes. Is Nate Davis going to play? I don't know. Is Tevin Jenkins going to play? I don't know. Is Darnell Wright going to play? I don't know. But if they're not, I give a damn. We still have a couple weeks left, but we need to get this run game going, and because that's going to be a huge help for Caleb. And I want to see some of these guys. I want to see Bates move people. I want to see Sheldon, move people. I want to see Braxton Jones, handle the bull rush. I want to see all these things. For me, it's the offensive line or the trenches. And on defense, I need to see Gervon Dexter. I know what Sweat can do. All right, he's shown what he can do. I want to see Gervon Dexter, a more svelte and trimmed down, but stronger and more powerful Gervon Dexter. I want to see him living in a yard in the backfield. That's all I need. Give me 1 yard, and you stop everything. So those are the things I want to see from the starters. Because if Gervon Dexter can start to make a name for himself and start to be disruptive, Lord have mercy, this defense is going to be unfreaking believable. Like I said, what Sweat can do. We know what Billings can do. If that 3 technique becomes a disruptor, this defense. Do you think Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson had good years last year? That ball's coming out quicker, and they're going to have a much better year. So give me that. I want to see a lot of good play, good, solid, aggressive play from from the trenches, offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, and what about you, Joe? What are you looking forward to in this game coming up?
You know what? I expect to see a lot of short passing game for Caleb Williams and the Bears, and a lot of handoffs. And I think this is important for the offensive line to get it on the same page and get those calls and those side adjustments together, and being able to communicate on the line and start playing it as a unit. And so hopefully tevinjenkins and Nate Davis can get out there as well as Darnell Wright, so that so this can start to happen. I think if you're going to have Caleb out there, those guys need to be out there. And then on the defensive end, I am interested to see Gervon Dexter. I'm also interested to see the development of Zach Pickens. They brought in a new defensive line coach slash defensive coordinator, and he came from Buffalo, and so he's a real good teacher of the defensive line, and I want to see how well he's done with developing our young defensive linemen. And we need another pass rusher to step up. We had last year they drafted, not last year, but a couple years ago they drafted Brian Robinson, and he had one sack, and then we haven't seen him ever since. You mentioned Austin Booker. Somebody needs to step up. We also got Walker, that we got from Tennessee last year. So some of those guys need to step up, and start to flash a little bit. I think the pass rush, is still a big concern for that defense. I think the back end of our secondary, is a little bit top heavy, based on what I seen in the Hall of Fame game. So you really can't afford to see any of those guys go down. What I'm saying? We saw how much, Kyler Gordon, meant to that defense, when he went out. So I just want those guys, to go, rough it up a little bit and get out and get to the regular season in one piece.
Yeah, that's the one thing you want everybody to make it out. And of course, unfortunately with Benedict, he's one of the first injury related casualties the Bears have seen so far. So hopefully that's held to a minimum in this upcoming game on Saturday. So
where's this $20,000 signing bonus?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy, to even think that, Caleb said 25.5, and I saw
100 times more.
100 times more. And I saw some people in the comments talking about how that apparently that number used to be larger than what Caleb had. Apparently they're getting a lot less now. But I think it kind of makes sense. It kind of balances out at the end, because a lot of those players now have a crazy amount of endorsements to where it probably ends up being 30-40 million in total, if you want to play all that in
I think
there.
Sam Bradford was the last guy to get real crazy money.
Yeah.
And then after that, they kind of was like, "Yo, we got to get this kind of under control."
The
25.5 is actually, kind of, lower compared to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild, but he'll be able to pay for a lot of those meals. That's for sure. This upcoming season.
Never DJ Moore, one or the other.
Oh yeah, another one, right? Yeah.
Right.
I know they had that clip of Caleb Williams on his story, smacking DJ Moore on the head after that. It's like, yep, he's gonna pay for dinners. I'm like, I bet you he's gonna be paying a lot for Caleb's dinners for sure. But I think that should do it for this edition of the Bears Den. I want to thank everyone for watching. Of course, make sure to keep up with all of our content. Of course, also with SportsZone Chicago, watch Sean and Maya's episodes. Check out Lakina and Sid on Second City Sports. Check out all our content for War Media with the At Bat podcast. We're going to have an episode of Slam Society, and as well, check out all our other content. And really appreciate you guys watching. For Saul Rodriguez, Sean Sierra, Joe Tanksley, everyone have a good one and enjoy your week.
Peace.